Good morning, and welcome to the Zoom service of UUCC, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Canandaigua. UUCC is a congregation that fosters personal and spiritual growth through religious exploration in search of the truth, while celebrating diversity and affirming the worth and dignity of every person. We are glad that you are joining us. I'm Danielle Lyon, and this is Thomas Lyon, your worship coordinators, and we are excited to introduce our guest minister, Reverend Kelly Spahr, who lives in Rochester, New York, and is an affiliated community minister with First Universalist Church of Rochester. She has been an acute care, palliative, and hospice healthcare chaplain for the last 10 years, and also volunteers as a chaplain for the Rochester City Police Department. Kelly serves on the advisory board of Crossroads of Caring, a community-based clinical pastoral education program. Next Sunday, December 5th, we will plan to worship together inside at church, but also to live stream to YouTube and gather on Zoom for any who are unable to join us in person. Please RSVP online using the link emailed from the church account if you would like to attend in person. We will plan on wearing masks and sitting in the pods of the people we came with. Now we will enter a space of worship.
We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
Thomas Jodryn, an American Buddhist nun, says in her book, When Things Fall Apart, this very moment is the perfect teacher. And lucky for us, it's with us wherever we are. This isn't a new book. It's one that I've had on my bookshelf for at least 20 years. And I usually have multiple copies because I like to give them away. It has stood the test of time for me, and I come back to it again and again when I need heart advice for difficult times, which is the subtitle. I think that we can agree that we have been having some difficult times. Lots of moments that are perfect teachers. Does anyone sometimes feel that there are just too many of these moments to dig into lately? I can't see you and connect with you in the same way in this virtual world we create worship in, but I imagine that many of you feel this in your hearts. Me too. And at the same time, there have been moments of choosing to live life and manifest joy in the middle of these perfect moments. These moments can come at any time. My friend's sister lost her husband in a tragic car accident some years ago. And the most poignant thing she shared with friends was that when you lose a spouse, you sometimes find their secret life, their skeletons in the closet. As she was going through her husband's closet weeks after his death, she found something actually in the closet. She found a computer disk. She wasn't quite sure what to do with it and waited some weeks to look at it, afraid of what she might find on it. When she finally did get up the courage to look at it, what she found were over 600 photos of herself. Photos of her sleeping, eating, reading, absorbed in life. Her husband, in deep love for her over their almost 30 years of marriage, had taken hundreds of photos of her that spoke of his love for her. These photos spoke of his faith in marriage, in the mundane snapshots that make up their lives. He found joy in these small moments that he hid away in his closet, and she will carry that joy with her forever in the midst of her grief. Let us be welcomed with these words this morning. Let there be joy in our coming together. Let there be truth heard in the words we speak and the songs we sing. Let there be help and healing for our disharmony and despair. Let there be silence for the voice within us and beyond us. Let there be joy in our coming together. Please join us in our opening hymn, number 55, Dark of Winter.
Dark of winter, soft and still, your quiet calm surrounds me. Let my thoughts go where they will, ease my mind profoundly, and then my soul will sing a song, a blessed song of love eternal. Gentle darkness, soft and still, bring your quiet to me. Darkness soothes my weary eyes, that I may see more clearly. When my heart with sorrow cries, comfort and caress me, and then my soul may hear a voice, a still small voice of love eternal. Darkness, when my fears arise, let your peace flow through me.
We are a community that holds one another together in our celebrations and in our pain. Please share your joys and sorrows in the chat box on Zoom, and know that whatever is on your heart today, we are with you. For the joys and sorrows shared and those held in your heart, know that we are with you. We especially want to recall those shared today, spending time with family in Thanksgiving. First Thanksgivings for the young ones that are joining us. Concern over family members' health concerns, and just being here this morning together. We hold these and all the biggest feelings in our hearts.
Now is the time in our service to join together in the spiritual practice of generosity. Our gifts support our church in its work. That work is summarized in our covenant. The covenant for UUCC says, in service of the values that unite us, we will recognize the inherent value of each person, foster a community of compassion and caring for all, value our diverse opinions, and engage respectfully in all interactions. If you would like to give to this morning's offering, you can give online at canandaiguauu.org/connect/donate, or physically by mailing a check to the church. In either case, note if you'd like your gift to go toward the Sunday offering or your pledge. We'll share 25% of the Sunday offerings with our service partner. The designated offering recipient chosen by Team 6 for the darkness season is Happiness House, an educational, residential, health and human service organization that excels in providing the highest quality, innovative, and cost-effective services to children and adults with and without disabilities through collaboration with families and partners through the Finger Lakes community.
Let us take a few moments for a time of shared silence and reflection. Take a moment to breathe. And another. Allow your shoulders to fall away from your earlobes. They do not belong there. Risk allowing yourself to open to the sense of the divine and sacred within you and around you. Feel the beating of your heart, the breath that sustains you, the pulse of life that surrounds you, the connections that hold us in person and in this virtual space. A. Pal Davies writes, when sorrow comes, let us accept it simply as a part of life. Let the heart be open to pain. Let it be stretched by it. All the evidence we have says that this is the better way. An open heart never grows bitter, or if it does, it cannot remain so. In the solace hour, there is an outcry, a clenching of the hands upon emptiness, a burning pain of bereavement, a weary ache of loss. But anguish, like ecstasy, is not forever. There comes a gentleness, a returning quietness, a restoring stillness. This moment is a door to life. Here also is a deepening of meaning, and it can lead to dedication, a going forward to the triumph of the soul, the conquering of the wilderness. And in the process will come a deepening inward knowledge that in the final reckoning, all is well. Let us savor that knowledge in silence for a few breaths. Be so, blessed be, and amen. Feel free to join in your own hearts or homes in a meditation on breathing, or to listen quietly if that feeds your soul today.
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
Wheel of the year is turning away from the sun in this time in between Thanksgiving just passed, and also what for our first people has been named a day of mourning. This time between Thanksgiving and the darkest day of our year, the winter solstice. This is the time of year when many of us light up the world with holiday lights, fires in the fireplace, and the warm glow of a lamp next to our favorite reading chair, with a crocheted afghan over our knees possibly, or at least that's what I do. Whether you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Chalaka, or the solstice, it is hard to avoid the forced cheer of the season and the rush of meals, pageants, gift buying, and travel, even amidst a global pandemic. And today is the first day of the Festival of Lights of Hanukkah. So for those who celebrate, may you be blessed in that time. And yes, the holiday season is upon us. And as the revered comedian Dave Barry so sagely said, in the old days, it was not called the holiday season. The Christians called it Christmas and went to church. The Jews called it Hanukkah and went to synagogue. The atheists went to parties and drank. People passing each other on the street would say, Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah, or to the atheists, look out for that wall. It can be easy to forget in the busy hum of activity designed to keep the lengthening darkness at bay, that many of us, perhaps some right here in our Zoom, do have a darkness in our lives. We may be dealing with cancer or the death of a spouse, or the ongoing effects of the pandemic, or perhaps the stress of unemployment and not being able to afford the expectations of the holiday season this year. We may have a child dealing with bullies at school, or struggling with a math class that is sucking the life right out of them, or figuring out how to deal with the anxiety of being in school again during COVID. But where else but here in this sacred space can we take this moment now, at the beginning of this season of darkness and light, to remind ourselves to care for our community and ourselves. This is the time of year when we practice gratitude. And even more than that, it's a time to practice compassion. The light of our gratitude can be a spiritual practice that illuminates the darkness of a friend, a neighbor, or a fellow UU who needs our love, especially during this time of busyness and family obligations. This is also a time of joy. At Thanksgiving, we celebrate our religious freedom, our bounty, our plenty. At Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights, we celebrate the rededication of the temple. At Christmas, we celebrate the birth of Jesus and his profound teachings, whether human or divine. And as we head into this time of darkness and we lift up the light in our lives, it is helpful to remember that Jesus taught that one should love one's neighbor as one would love oneself. This is a place to celebrate our joys and sorrows. In Heart to Heart, Christine Robinson writes, "Sometimes we are suffering too much to feel honestly grateful. There are days, even weeks or months, when we are overwhelmed by problems or pain, tragedy or disappointment. At those times, we don't always feel lucky to be alive and don't always feel like celebrating. In their desire to make us feel better, good-hearted people are likely to say things like, 'You should be grateful that your older child is still alive. The cancer was only in one breast. You still have a spouse, even though you lost your job.' But when we can't feel grateful, we can't." What is it like this time of year to be experiencing that first Thanksgiving or that first birthday or that first snowfall without our partner or our child or separated from family? Where is it safe to talk about, as my friend's sister did in our opening words, the pain and loss that life sometimes hands us, when it seems like everyone around us is cooking and bustling and decorating and buying and being festive? Where else can we weep tears of anger and frustration at the loss of our house due to months of unemployment, the loss of that kitchen where you cooked your first Thanksgiving meal, or the apple tree in the yard that has provided 10 years of homemade apple pies? My friend's sister Lisa wrote of the time right before Thanksgiving after her husband died, when she finally stopped sleeping with his favorite hunting shirt, 5 months after his death, and knew it was time to change the bed. She wrote, "I finally took the sheets off the bed last night. Remember, the ones I have not washed or changed since he died? It sounds disgusting, I know. And in my other life, I would have thought so too. 5 months on the same sheets? Inconceivable. But when you have forever lost the person who shared those sheets with you, changing them is what becomes unthinkable." Taking those sheets off is the closest thing to a religious experience I've had in a long time, maybe ever. I felt reverent, even spiritual as I did it, like the sheets were a symbol of worship, of something big and important. I didn't just pull them off as I normally would. I handled them with care, like a priest with an altar cloth. I stroked them, smelled them, inspected them. I looked to see if maybe there was still a piece of his hair somewhere. I didn't find one. I saw that the fitted sheet is starting to fray in one spot, and I knew instantly what it was, the place where his feet touched every night, wearing thin because he always rubbed them over and over on the same spot as he fell asleep. He would rub them so hard against the sheet that I could hear it. The sound sometimes kept me awake and I'd have to ask him to stop. I tried to ignore it usually though, because somehow the feeling was soothing to him, like a baby stroking a blanket while drifting off. How do we hold this kind of pain, this loss, this darkness up against the light that we celebrate this time of year? How do we hold it? One way is to practice gratitude, practice compassion, practice attention. Again, Reverend Robinson says, perhaps most insidious to our sense of gratitude is that great demon busyness. There are times when we simply get too busy to notice all of the wonderful things and people and relationships around us, because it is so easy to get revved up to such a pitch that we neglect to notice our gratitude. So it is best to find ways to make gratitude a routine. The small child's "God bless mommy and daddy and my brother, even though he's a pain," is an elementary but beneficial practice. Some people keep a gratitude list, have a wall of photographs of people and places for which they are grateful, bring their gratitude to mind each morning over their coffee, or begin the evening meal or bedtime prayers by naming something for which they are grateful. I remember being a child, and as some of you may know, I was brought up Catholic, and I remember those nightly prayers, kneeling by the bedside with my father, saying, God bless Mommy and Daddy and Bandit, my dog, and Aunt Ray and Uncle Alvin and John and Jeff and Don and Mama and Papa. The litany went on as much out of love and intention as of delaying the inevitable lights out and bedtime. I continue to make a daily practice of gratitude, but there are days it can seem empty. After all, we live into a faith of action, of justice, of love. What can we do to bring our own light into the darkness? Not just during this season of mad dashing about, but in all seasons. How can we notice that spot on the sheet where someone we love rubs their toes? How can we remember to inhale their special smell on their shirt when we hug them, or the magical odor of a baby's neck? My friend's sister wrote, "The quiet sadness is gone. Instead, I'm back to the raw, gut-wrenching sadness, the everyday sobbing, crying, hiccuping, so many tears I can't even see. I hurt. Before now, I wanted him back for good. I wanted it all to not have happened. I still want that desperately, but now I am overwhelmed with my willingness to settle for having him back for just a little while, a day or an hour. I think I'm in the bargaining stage. All I can think of is just give him back to me for a little while. In exchange, I will take the pain of losing him again. If I really could make it happen, I wouldn't even hesitate." So when we think about that moment where we hold intense grief that we've all felt, and also the small joys of love and connection, I would invite you to pause for a moment, take a moment, and think of, just in your own mind or write down on your pad next to your computer, a word or a phrase. Take a moment to practice gratitude for something small, but most importantly, this can also be a time to write down a sorrow, something you share in this sacred space with your beloved community where it can be held. Something you can think of or write down and just let go of, even if just for a little while, to hold each other in this space. For a little while, we can hold those things for each other here, the joys and the sorrows, just as we put in the chat box. That is what community is for. May we lift each other up in our joys and our sorrows in these days of darkness and light. May we hold each other in love and gentleness, offering healing energy to those of us who need it, sharing in the joy of those holding lightness in their hearts. And now, changing gears for just a moment, let's get into the question of now what? What do we do with this both and, this gratitude and this sorrow? That's life, right? But that's only part of the question. What do we do as people of faith? I read a story a number of years ago about a woman named Kim Leach. She's a tattoo artist at Phoenix Rising Tattoo, but before she became a tattoo artist, she was a nurse. And one Friday a month, she puts on her nursing scrub, takes her ink, and visits breast cancer patients. She finishes this work of breast reconstruction, putting the lifelike touches on. Some of these women come to her shop later and get tattoos that speak of how they reclaim joy and gratitude for their lives after breast cancer. The article quoted Leach as saying, "I help people who are ashamed of their bodies be able to take pride in those bodies," she said. People go from, "Oh my God, what happened to you?" to, "Oh my God, what an awesome tattoo." This is a unique calling in life, and one that makes a difference in the lives of women who have feared losing everything to cancer. Leach took her gift and her own experience as a nurse and a survivor of lymphoma to bring hope and beauty back into lives that have struggled with loss and devastating surgery. To live in faith with each other can be as simple as using a gift you already have, like Leach does. It can be a practice of gratitude. It can be telling a friend that you need support in a time normally defined by joy and festivities. As you think about that word or phrase in your heart or that you wrote down, let this simple ritual of letting go, of sharing a little part of ourselves within this trusted community, give you comfort in the days to come. Let this thought be a reminder that none of us really know what goes on in the secret heart or life of our neighbor, our pew mate next week, the person next to us in this virtual service, or our children. Let us carry an awareness and an intentional desire to get off the busy hamster wheel of the coming weeks and to make room in our hearts to hold joy, gratitude, and troubles all in the same basket. I would invite you into a time of reflection.
We give thanks for the corn and the wheat that are reaped, for the labor well done, and the barns that are heaped, for the sun and the dew, and the sweet honeycomb, for the rose and the song, and the harvest brought home. We give thanks for the mills and the farms of our land, for the craft and the strength in the work of our hands, for the beauty our artists and poets have wrought, for the hope and affection our friendships have brought. We give thanks as we balance our gratitude here with the many long months of this pandemic year. We'll be gracious and gentle to all that we bear. We'll be kind to ourselves and treat others with care. Here's the rose and the song and the harvest brought home.
We close this part of our time together with these words from Rumi, the great Sufi mystic. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. They may be clearing you out for some new delight. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. I hope that you will join us in our closing hymn, What Wondrous Love.
What wondrous love is this, oh my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath my sorrow's ground, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul. To love and to all friends I will sing, I will sing. To love and to all friends I will sing. To love and to all friends whose pain and sorrow mend, with thanks unto the end I will sing, I will sing. With thanks unto the end I will sing.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you all so much for joining us this morning, and especially our guest, Reverend Kelly. We invite you all to stay together in this room for a virtual coffee hour. And in just a moment, I'll make it so you can unmute yourselves.